The refugee ship was not supposed to reach Earth. It was not supposed to reach anywhere. The vessel, the Silent Dawn, fell out of light speed near a quiet yellow star. Its engines coughed, cracked, and died. Red alarms flashed across every deck. Families held each other in the dark, while the walls shook like the ship was breaking apart from the inside. Commander Veyr Dominion stood on the bridge with smoke around him and blood running from his forehead. He had not slept in 2 days. None of them had. His people, the Aryans, had escaped the ruins of Leora, but escape had only become a slower death. Their fuel was almost gone. Their shields were failing. Their enemy was still somewhere behind them. "Find us any world with air," Veyr ordered. The navigation officer wiped blood from her lips and checked the cracked screen. One planet ahead, blue, warm, unknown. Unknown meant risk. There could be weapons, disease, or fear waiting for them, but the Dominion was worse than any unknown world. The Dominion had burned Leora and called its survivors property. Veyr looked at the children hiding under broken consoles. "Take us down." The Silent Dawn entered Earth's atmosphere above a northern ocean. To humans below, it looked like a burning wound across the sky. Phones recorded it. News channels stopped mid-broadcast. Pilots shouted into radios as the impossible object screamed over the clouds. The ship crashed into the snowy mountains of Kaldor Ridge. Stones split, trees burned, snow melted into black rivers. Inside the wreck, Veyr awoke to crying. A small Aryan girl named Mira was trapped under a fallen panel. Her silver eyes were wide with pain. "Commander, did death find us?" Veyr pulled the metal away with shaking hands. "Not yet." Then they heard engines outside. Human rescue teams arrived through smoke and falling snow. Veyr expected soldiers. Instead, he saw people in bright rescue suits carrying cutters, blankets, stretchers, and medical packs. At first, he thought they were simple locals. Then one human cut through the alien hull with a plasma torch. Another sealed a life support leak with expanding silver foam. A human doctor scanned Mira, adjusted the device twice, and gave her medicine that slowed her bleeding. Veyl's fear changed into confusion. These people were not primitive. They were hidden. More humans entered the wreck. They did not point guns at the survivors. They lifted the wounded carefully. They wrapped crying children in warm blankets. They spoke softly, even before translation worked. Mira gripped Veyl's sleeve as a human doctor carried her. "Will they send us back?" she asked. Veyr had no answer. 12 hours later, deep inside a secure human facility, translation finally worked. Veyr told Earth's leaders about Leora, about the Dominion, and about the millions who had not escaped. 70 hours after the crash, a Dominion message reached Earth. "Return the escaped subjects." A human leader asked Veyr, "Do your people belong to them?" Veyl's voice broke. "No, we only lost the roar." Earth replied minutes later. "They asked for shelter. We gave it." The Dominion threatened consequences. Earth answered again. "Then come and try taking them." Veyr read the words until his hands trembled. For the first time in months, hope felt more dangerous than fear. But beyond the moon, Dominion trackers had already found the Silent Dawn's broken signal, and 6 warships were turning toward Earth.
The Dominion did not answer Earth immediately. That silence made Veyr afraid. He knew the Veyr Dominion too well. They did not pause because they were unsure. They paused when they wanted punishment to be perfect. On Leora, the first attack had lasted 11 hours. On the colony moon of Saren, it had lasted only 3. Both places were gone now. From the medical wing under Kaldor Ridge, Veyr watched Earth change. Human governments moved before sunrise. Satellites shifted into new positions. Old bunkers opened beneath cities. Supply trains crossed borders without delay. Military aircraft flew through the night while engineers studied the wreckage of the Silent Dawn piece by piece. Veyr expected public anger. Instead, he saw something harder to understand. Humans were afraid, but they worked through the fear. Some asked why Earth should risk itself for strangers. Others answered before leaders could. Doctors offered help. Families sent blankets to refugee centers. Students began learning Aryan words from emergency broadcasts. Children drew pictures of silver trees after hearing about Leora. Mira saw one drawing taped outside the shelter room. It showed Earth and Leora under the same sky. She touched it with 2 fingers and cried silently. General Mara Stone found Veyr watching through a glass wall as human scientists and Aryan engineers worked together below. "You need rest," she said. Veyr did not turn. "Your people just met us. Why are they moving like this was expected?" Mara looked at the screens. Soldiers were training in mock alien corridors. Doctors were studying Aryan biology. Technicians were rebuilding old orbital systems. "We never knew who might come from the stars, but we knew the stars would not stay quiet forever." That answer chilled him. Humanity had not prepared for the Dominion. It had prepared for anyone. During the next days, human analysts asked questions that surprised the Aryans. They did not only ask how Dominion weapons worked, they asked how Dominion officers thought. What made them proud? What made them impatient? Did they protect command ships too much? Did they expect fear before battle? Veyr realized the humans were not only studying machines, they were studying arrogance. On the 8th day, the first tactical model was ready. It showed something painful and true. The Dominion was powerful, but its first weapon was fear. If a world surrendered quickly, the Dominion looked unstoppable. If a world forced it into confusion, its commanders became reckless. Mara pointed at the model. "They are used to people kneeling before the real fight begins." Veyl's mouth went dry. "And if we do not kneel? Then we find out what they do when fear fails." That night, Mira asked Mara the question Veyr had avoided. "If they come, will you give us back?" Mara crouched in front of her. "No." The word was gentle, but it sounded like a wall closing. A deep space alarm sounded minutes later. 6 Dominion warships had entered the solar system. The Dominion believed 6 ships would be enough to frighten Earth, but Earth had hidden more in its quiet sky than anyone imagined.
The 6 Dominion warships crossed the outer system in perfect formation. Veyr recognized the pattern at once. 1 command cruiser at the front, 2 heavy escorts beside it, 3 smaller ships behind. It was not a battle formation. It was theater. The Dominion wanted Earth to see power and surrender. Inside Earth's orbital command center, every screen showed the same cold red marks moving closer. Veyr stood beside General Mara, listening to the soft voices of human officers. No panic, no shouting, only numbers, distances, and orders. The Dominion commander appeared on the main screen. His pale face was narrow, his black eyes calm. Gold lines on his uniform marked him as a conqueror. "People of Earth," he said, "you are sheltering stolen Dominion subjects. Return them. Lower all military systems. Allow inspection. Refusal will be treated as rebellion." The screen went dark. Earth waited 31 seconds. Then it replied with one word: no. In the shelter below Caldor Ridge, Mira heard the translation and looked up at Veyr through the open channel. "They said no for us?" Veyr could not speak at first. "Yes," he finally said. "They did." The Dominion ships advanced. That was when Earth's orbit changed. Thousands of satellites moved at once. Some opened like metal flowers. Others dropped false shells and revealed missile pods, railguns, and directed energy mirrors. Weather stations became targeting hubs. Navigation systems became defense nodes. Veyr felt his heart hit his ribs. Earth's peaceful sky had been wearing a mask. The Dominion commander paused, then continued forward. He assumed hidden weapons meant desperation. He assumed a young world could not truly hurt him. Mara allowed him to think that. 3 human ships appeared from behind the moon. They were small, dark, and plain. No bright armor, no royal markings, no warning. They fired once. The rear Dominion escort lost its engines before its shield fully adjusted. It began to drift helplessly. Before the enemy could recover, Earth's orbital weapons fired between the ships, not directly at their strongest points. The shots forced them apart. The clean formation bent, stretched, and broke. Then another layer appeared. Old weather balloons high in Earth's atmosphere burst open. Inside them were hidden launch drones. They climbed hard, reached the damaged ships from below, and struck shield gaps the Dominion had not protected. One enemy ship exploded. Another spun out of formation. The battle lasted 19 minutes. When it ended, 3 Dominion ships were destroyed, 2 were disabled, and 1 fled. The command center did not celebrate. A human pilot had died in the first exchange. 2 orbital stations had gone silent. Victory had a cost. Mara looked at the escaping ship. Let it go. Veyr turned sharply. It will bring revenge. Mara's eyes stayed on the stars. That is why we let it carry fear home first. The Dominion had come to scare Earth, but the ship that escaped carried a different message. Humanity could bleed, but it would not bow.
The damaged Dominion ship vanished into deep space. Veyr watched until the red mark disappeared. Every part of him wanted it destroyed. A wounded Dominion commander was still dangerous. A humiliated empire was worse. Mara understood his fear. "They will return," she said. "Then why let it leave?" "Because now they know Earth is not helpless. That will make them angry. Angry commanders rush." Veyr studied her face. She was not smiling. Humans were not playing with war. They were shaping it. The first battle changed Earth overnight. World leaders made the truth public. Humanity was not alone. Refugees from Leora had crashed in Kaldor Ridge. An empire had demanded them back. Earth had refused. Veyr expected crowds to demand the Aryans be removed. Some did. Fear brought ugly voices, but they were not the only voices. A nurse in Brazil started a message chain that said, "Shelter is not weakness." A school in Kenya sent drawings to Aryan children. An old farmer in Canada donated food and wrote, "No child should run hungry from the stars." In Karachi, London, Lagos, Seoul, and thousands of other cities, people lit small blue lamps in windows for Leora. Mira saw the lights on a screen and asked, "Are those for us?" Veyr answered, "For everyone we lost." For the first time since the fall of Leora, the Aryans held a night of remembrance without hiding. Humans stood beside them in silence. No one understood every word of the old songs, but they understood grief. Later, Mara brought Veyr a small object wrapped in cloth. It was the silver tree crest from the Silent Dawn's bridge. "We found it in the wreckage," she said. Veyr held it like it was alive. "This was above our command hall on Leora." "Then it belongs with you." He tried to thank her, but the words broke. While Earth mourned and repaired, the escaped Dominion ship reached its border fleet. Its commander delivered the report. Earth had refused. Earth had destroyed Dominion ships. Earth had protected the Aryans and allowed one ship to return alive. The Dominion High Marshal took the news as an insult. He did not send another warning. He ordered a punishment fleet. 31 days later, Earth's outer sensors lit up. 42 Dominion warships entered the solar system. Veyr saw the count and felt the memory of Leora's final day return. This is not retrieval. This is erasure. Mara gave one order. Move the civilians underground. Wake the belt. Across Earth, shelters opened. Beyond Mars, old mining drones began to stir among the asteroids. The punishment fleet came to erase Earth, but its first battlefield would not be Earth at all. It would be the asteroid belt humanity had quietly prepared. The 42 Dominion ships entered the asteroid belt with confidence. Their commander believed the belt was only space debris, a natural obstacle, annoying but harmless. His heavy cruisers held the center, while carriers stayed protected behind them. Smaller destroyers spread wide to catch hidden attackers. Veyr knew the formation. It had crushed Aryan colonies. This time, Earth did not send its main fleet forward. It waited. The Dominion took that as fear. On Earth, civilians moved into shelters with quiet urgency. Human families entered side by side with Aryan survivors. In one shelter, Mira sat beside a human boy named Jonas, who held a toy rocket so tightly his knuckles turned pale. "Are they coming because of you?" he asked. Mira looked down. "Yes." Jonas thought about it, then pushed half his blanket toward her. "My mother says bad people come because they choose to, not because someone needed help." Mira held the blanket and did not know how to answer. In the command center, Mara watched the enemy cross the marked zone. Begin. Thousands of mining drones woke among the asteroids. The Dominion ignored them at first. Civilian machines were beneath notice. Then the drones began attaching charges to rocks. Explosions moved through the belt in controlled waves. Asteroids shifted from safe paths into enemy routes. Dust clouds spread across sensors. Small rocks became high-speed storms. Large ones forced cruisers to turn. The Dominion formation bent. Then it cracked. Hidden missile pods inside hollow asteroids fired at exposed shield angles. They did not try to destroy the fleet. They struck engines, sensor towers, and escort ships just enough to force more movement. The Dominion commander grew impatient. He ordered ships through narrow gaps. That was the second trap. Cargo tugs that looked abandoned powered up and dragged metal nets between asteroids. One destroyer hit a net at high speed and lost half its forward armor. Another turned to avoid debris and exposed its carrier behind it. Earth still had not committed its fleet. Veyr finally understood. Humanity was not defending one line. It was making every kilometer costly. By the time the Dominion escaped the belt, several ships were damaged. One destroyer was dead in space. A carrier had lost shield strength. The formation was no longer clean. Mara did not look satisfied. She looked ready. "Open Mars." Veyr turned to her. "Mars?" On the screen, the red planet changed. Hidden doors opened beneath dust plains. Long rail cannons rose from underground shafts. Their barrels turned toward the wounded fleet. Veyr felt a new kind of fear. Humans had not built a defense around Earth. They had armed the road to it. The Dominion survived the asteroid belt, but Mars was about to teach them that even a quiet planet could carry a hidden gun. Mars fired without warning. There was no dramatic flame, only a sharp white line across space. A tungsten slug struck a Dominion cruiser weakened by the asteroid belt. Its shield flashed, cracked, and failed. A second shot hit the same wound. The cruiser split open. Dominion command channels filled with sharp voices. "Unknown weapon source. Shield breach. Change vector." But changing vector was exactly what Earth wanted. The asteroid belt behind the fleet was still unstable. Turning too far risked collisions. Moving forward meant entering Mars's firing path. Holding position gave Earth more time. Veyr watched the tactical display and felt both awe and dread. "You turned geography into a weapon," he said. Mara answered, "We turned time into a weapon."
Mars fired again. Another Dominion ship lost engines. A carrier moved to cover it, but that exposed its flank to hidden missile drones still trailing from the belt. The Dominion commander finally abandoned clean doctrine. "All ships advance," the translated order came through. "Ignore minor losses. Break through to Earth." Mara's eyes narrowed. There, he chose speed over control. Human ships moved from lunar orbit, but not in a straight wall. They scattered into strange angles. Some appeared weak. Others drifted out of position on purpose. To Dominion sensors, it looked like confusion. Veyr knew better now. "It is bait." A human captain near him nodded. "Several kinds." The Dominion attacked the center, where one human vessel seemed damaged and alone. Its name was Horizon Spear. The ship limped forward, leaking gas from one side. Dominion weapons walked on it, eager for an easy kill. Veyr leaned closer to the screen. "Can it escape?" Mara's silence answered him. Horizon Spear opened its outer hull. Inside, engineers had rebuilt its reactor into a shaped blast charge. Veyr's stomach tightened. The human crew had accepted this mission before launch. The Dominion fired. Horizon Spear detonated on its own terms. The explosion became a narrow spear of white energy. It cut through 3 Dominion ships and tore shields from 2 more. The enemy formation shook apart again, but the human channel carried only static from Horizon Spear. No victory cheer came, only names. Mara closed her eyes for one breath, then opened them. "They gave us the next 10 minutes. Use them." Veyr felt the words like a blade. The Aryans had spent months trying only to survive. Humans were spending lives to decide the shape of survival. Below, Mira heard Horizon Spear's name added to the memorial feed. Jonas asked if those people knew they would die. Mira answered softly, "Yes." Then she looked at the screen with new understanding. "And that is why we must live." The Dominion pushed forward, bloodied but still dangerous. Earth's fleet began to fall back toward the moon. This time, Veyr knew it was not retreat. It was invitation. Humanity had broken the Dominion's order, and now it was pulling the wounded fleet toward the moon, where the largest secret still waited under gray dust.
The Dominion chased Earth's fleet toward the moon. Its commander believed the humans were running. He saw scattered ships, damaged engines, and gaps in the defensive line. He did not understand that every gap had been measured. Veyr watched the red marks follow the path Earth had left open. "They are entering the channel," a human officer said. Mara raised her hand. "Hold lunar fire." The moon filled the command window, pale and still. Veyr had seen it as beautiful when the silent dawn first fell. Now he noticed small shadows moving across its surface. At first he thought they were dust storms. Then the moon opened. Massive plates shifted aside. Rail cannons rose from hidden craters. Missile silos lifted through gray soil. Energy arrays unfolded in wide rings, catching sunlight and focusing it into terrible brightness. Veyr stepped back. "You built a fortress inside your moon." Mara looked at him. "We built a shield where everyone could see it and no one would believe it." The Dominion fleet crossed the invisible firing line. Mara dropped her hand. "Now." The moon fired. Space became white with impacts. One Dominion cruiser broke from nose to engine. A destroyer vanished beneath a storm of missiles. A carrier lost control and drifted into the path of its own escorts. For the first time, the Dominion commander's voice lost its coldness. "Disperse, disperse now." But there was nowhere clean to go. Mars still fired from behind. Earth's orbital grid waited ahead. Human ships turned from false retreat and struck exposed engines. The Dominion fleet was no longer an invading spear. It was a trapped animal. In the shelters, people watched the moon flash again and again. Mara pressed both hands over her heart. Jonas whispered, "The moon is fighting." Mara nodded, "For us." Then a warning cut through every channel. One Dominion heavy cruiser had broken from the battle. It was badly damaged, but its engines were overloading. Its path was not toward safety. It was aimed at Earth. Veyr understood before the computer finished. They are making themselves a weapon. The impact projection appeared. If the cruiser reached the atmosphere, millions could die. Mara's voice hardened. "Intercept." Human fighters rushed toward it. Lunar cannons turned. Orbital guns fired. The cruiser burned, cracked, and shook, but kept falling. Its crew was choosing death as revenge. Veyr felt old memories rise. Dominion ships over Leora, laughing as cities drowned. Near the edge of the battlefield, one crippled human destroyer changed course. Its name appeared on the display. Dawnkeeper. Mara froze for the first time. "Captain Ilara," she whispered. The broken destroyer lit its remaining engine and turned toward the falling cruiser. The moon had stopped the invasion, but Dawnkeeper now faced the one attack no fortress could block, a dying ship falling straight toward Earth.
The Dawnkeeper was already dying. Half its hull was open. Its weapons were silent. Its engines were unstable. Command had ordered it to withdraw from the battle twice. Captain Ilara Voss ignored the order. Her voice came through the channel filled with static. "This is Dawnkeeper. We still have one burn left." Mara stepped toward the screen. "Ilara, that burn will tear your ship apart." A short pause followed. Then Ilara said, "Only if we miss." No one laughed. The Dominion cruiser continued falling toward Earth. Its hull burned red. Its engines screamed beyond safety. Every weapon that hit it slowed it for a moment, but not enough. On the planet below, shelters shook as defense systems redirected power. In Kaldor Ridge, Mira held Jonas's hand while adults tried not to show fear. "Can the ship stop it?" Jonas asked. Mira looked at Dawnkeeper's small blue mark on the screen. "It is going to try." Dawnkeeper accelerated. The ship shook so violently that pieces broke away from its side. Its final engine burned brighter and brighter. It was not chasing the Dominion cruiser. It was becoming a blade. Ilara opened a planet-wide channel. Her voice reached shelters, cities, hospitals, command centers, and homes. "To my son, I love you. To everyone under this sky, sleep safe tonight." Dawnkeeper struck the Dominion cruiser above Earth. The collision made a second sun. Both ships shattered high above the atmosphere. Pieces burned into harmless silver rain. Across the world, people looked up and saw the sky filled with falling light. No one celebrated. They understood what the light meant. In the command center, Mara closed her eyes. When she opened them, grief was there, but so was command. "Ilara opened the sky," she said. "Close the trap." The human fleet moved with new force. Not rage, precision. Lunar guns cut off the left escape route. Mars railfire blocked the rear. Orbital platforms forced Dominion ships into smaller groups. Aryan engineers helped translate enemy emergency signals, allowing human forces to predict which ships would surrender and which would fight to the end. Veyr heard the difference in Dominion voices now. They were no longer proud. They were no longer angry. They were afraid. One by one, enemy ships lost power or raised surrender codes. Others tried to flee, but Earth ships pushed them into dead zones without wasting fire.
The punishment fleet had failed, but the price of failure was written in human names. Mira watched Captain Ilara's name appear on the memorial feed. Beside it was the message she had sent: "Sleep safe tonight." Mira wiped her face and whispered, "We will remember." Veyr heard her and looked toward Earth. The Aryans had found shelter. Now they had inherited a debt of honor. The Dominion fleet was collapsing, but when its first ship surrendered, Veyr had to face a question harder than battle. Could mercy survive after everything the Dominion had done?
The first Dominion surrender signal came from a destroyer near lunar orbit. Its engines were dead. Its weapons were dark. Smoke leaked from its broken hull. The translated message repeated again and again: "We surrender. Request medical aid." Veyl's anger rose so fast it hurt. He remembered Aryan ships sending the same words above Leora. He remembered the Dominion firing anyway. He remembered children waiting in evacuation tunnels that never opened. "They ask for mercy now?" he said. Mara looked at the broken destroyer. "Yes, they gave us none. I know. Then why should they receive it?" Mara turned to him, and her answer was quiet. "Because if we become them, they still win something." The words did not erase Veyl's pain. Nothing could, but they stopped it from becoming command. Human boarding ships moved toward the destroyer. Soldiers entered first, weapons ready. Medics followed. Dominion wounded were carried out, treated, and placed under guard. No one trusted them, but no one executed them. Mara watched from the shelter. "Are those the ones who hurt Leora?" "Some of them may be," Veyr said. "And humans are helping them?" "Yes." She looked confused, then thoughtful. "Is mercy the same as forgiveness?" Veyr took a long breath. "No. Mercy means we choose who we are before we decide what they deserve." The punishment fleet ended soon after. Several ships surrendered. A few escaped badly damaged. Most were destroyed or disabled. Earth remained standing. But victory did not bring peace. Memorial screens filled with names: the crew of Horizon Spear, the pilots lost in the asteroid fighting, lunar engineers killed at their batteries, Captain Ilara Voss and the Dawnkeeper. For the first time, Aryan names were added beside human ones. 2 Aryan engineers had died helping stabilize a lunar reactor. A former Leoran pilot had flown a human fighter into a missile path and saved a medical ship. The war was no longer humans protecting refugees. It was becoming a shared fight. Then a hidden signal appeared behind the moon. A small Dominion command vessel had stayed silent through the battle. It had no heavy weapons. It had waited among debris, watching the punishment fleet fail. Before human interceptors disabled it, the vessel sent one message into deep space. Boarding teams recovered its message core. The translation appeared in the command center. "Earth is not minor. Earth protects the Aryan fugitives. Punishment fleet defeated. Request judgment from the sovereign throne." Veyl's throat tightened. Mara looked at him. "What is the sovereign throne?" Veyl's voice came out thin. "The Dominion's rulers. They only answer when an empire wants history erased." The final line of the message decoded: "Send the Ash Crown." Veyr closed his eyes. The ship that destroyed Leora was coming. Earth had defeated the punishment fleet, but the hidden message had called the Ash Crown, a world breaker that had already murdered one sky Veyr loved.
The name Ash Crown changed everything. Veyr told Earth's leaders what it meant. He did not speak like a soldier giving a report. He spoke like a survivor opening an old wound. When Leora refused the Dominion, they sent fleets first, he said. We fought them. We even won small battles. Then the sovereign throne sent one ship. The Ash Crown broke our largest moon and dropped pieces into our oceans. The tides drowned cities before soldiers landed. The room stayed silent. Mara asked, "Can it be destroyed?" Veyr answered honestly, "I do not know." Earth did not hide the danger from its people. The world had already seen war in its skies. Lies would only make fear worse. Leaders explained that a stronger Dominion vessel might be coming. They explained that shelters would remain open. They explained that Earth's promise to the Aryans still stood. This was the hardest test. It was one thing to show courage before knowing the cost. It was another to choose courage after reading the names of the dead. Some humans begged for surrender. Some demanded the Aryans be moved away from Earth. But others stood in front of refugee centers, hospitals, and memorial walls. They carried signs that said, "A promise is not a promise only when it is easy." The Aryans saw this and changed. They had accepted human protection because they had no choice. Now they chose to stand with humanity. Aryan doctors entered human hospitals. Engineers repaired lunar systems. Former pilots offered to fly. Even old survivors who could barely walk helped build shelter beds and translate messages. Mara found Veyr near the memorial wall for Dawnkeeper. "I want to help," she said. "You are a child. I can translate for the younger children. I can tell them not to be afraid." Veyr knelt and saw that she was no longer only the frightened girl from the wreck. She was becoming a witness. "Yes," he said, "that will help." Human and Aryan teams returned to the Silent Dawn's wreckage. Deep inside the ruined command core, they found something Veyr thought had been lost forever, a damaged Leoran defense key. It had once spoken to Leora's moon shield network. Against the Ash Crown, it would not be enough to win, but it might disturb the ship's shield for a few seconds. Mara studied the cracked device. "How long?" Veyr said. "Maybe 7 seconds." Mara looked at Earth's defense map. Mars, the moon, the orbital grid, the remaining fleet, and the Aryan fighters. Then 7 seconds becomes the whole war. Far beyond Neptune, sensors detected a shadow larger than any ship before it. The Ash Crown had entered the system. The World Breaker was coming, slowly, certain of victory, while Earth and the Aryans built their final plan around 7 impossible seconds.
The Ash Crown moved through the solar system like night given shape. It did not rush. It did not need to. Its black hull was larger than a city. Sharp towers rose along its back. A red ring glowed at its front, the weapon Veyr had seen once before over Leora. He had been younger then. He remembered looking up and thinking the sky itself was bleeding. Now that memory was coming for Earth. The final defense plan was simple because there was no room for anything clever. Earth would let the Ash Crown come close enough to fire at the moon. At that moment, Veyr's strike ship would transmit the Leoran defense key. If the key confused the World Breaker's shield, all human and Aryan weapons would hit one point at once. If the key failed, the moon would be destroyed. If the moon fell, Earth would be next. Veyr boarded a small strike vessel named Bridge of Dawn. Its crew was half human, half Aryan. The ship carried no grand weapon, only the damaged key and a transmitter powerful enough to burn itself out in one use. Before launch, Mira ran to Veyr. "You said helping means living," she said, "so you have to live too." Veyr tried to smile. "I will try. That is not a promise. No, it is the truth." She placed the silver tree crest of Leora in his hand. "Then take this, bring one piece of home back." Veyr closed his fingers around it. Across the system, final preparations began. Mars loaded its deepest rail cannons. Lunar crews locked broken batteries into place with manual clamps. Earth's orbital platforms turned every mirror and gun toward the same tiny target. The Blue Vigil, sister ship of Dawnkeeper, moved behind lunar cover carrying Earth's last heavy core missile.
Mara commanded from Earth, her voice steady across all channels. "This is not a fight for one species. This is a fight for every world that has ever been told fear is law." The Ash Crown reached lunar distance. Its main weapon opened. The red ring brightened. On Bridge of Dawn, alarms screamed as the Leoran key connected to the transmitter. Sparks jumped across the console. Aryan symbols appeared and vanished. Veyr heard fragments of old recordings from Leora, wind in silver trees, children singing, emergency sirens, his mother's voice. The countdown began. 7 seconds to enemy fire. Mara's voice came through. "Veyr, now!" He pressed the key and whispered, "Leora, speak one last time." The signal fired. The Ash Crown's shield flickered. The World Breaker's shield opened for the smallest moment, and Earth had 7 seconds to turn grief, courage, and every hidden weapon into one final strike.
For one heartbeat, the universe held still. Then Mara gave the order. Fire. The moon fired first. Its rail cannons and missile silos filled space with white light. Mars answered from far behind, sending heavy slugs across millions of kilometers. Earth's orbital grid focused every remaining weapon on the same point. Human ships fired, Aryan fighters fired. Even damaged platforms that could not aim perfectly gave what little power they had. All of it struck the flickering shield of the Ash Crown. 1 second passed. The shield bent. 2 seconds. The shield cracked. 3 seconds. The Ash Crown tried to fire. Its red beam released too early, cutting past the moon instead of through it. Lunar stations shook. Dust rose from ancient craters. Several batteries went dark. But the moon survived. In Calder Ridge, Mira screamed with hope. Veyr stayed locked to the transmitter as the Leoran key burned in his hands. The old device was dying, but it held the shield open a little longer. 4 seconds. 5. Mara spoke one final command. "Blue Vigil, launch!" The Blue Vigil moved from behind the moon. It carried the last heavy core missile Earth had. The missile crossed the battlefield, entered the crack in the shield, and struck the Ash Crown's exposed heart. 6 seconds. The World Breaker froze. 7 seconds. Light exploded from inside it. The Ash Crown split apart above Earth's moon. Its black towers broke away. Its weapon ring shattered. Its burning pieces drifted into space, never touching the blue planet below. The ship that had destroyed Leora was gone. Bridge of Dawn lost power, but emergency systems caught it before it drifted into debris. Veyr woke to a human medic shaking his shoulder and an Aryan pilot laughing through tears. Earth's channels were silent at first. Then came crying, then laughter, then the sound of billions breathing again. Months later, a memorial was built at Calder Ridge, where the Silent Dawn had crashed. Human and Aryan names were carved together. Captain Ilala Voss stood near the center, with her final words below. "Sleep safe tonight." Mira grew older on Earth. She learned human languages and helped plant Leoran silver trees in mountain soil. When asked where she belonged, she always answered the same way. "I was born on Leora, but Earth chose me." Veyr became the first Aryan ambassador to humanity. At the first Galactic Council after the war, he told every listening world what Earth had done. Humanity is not dangerous because it has weapons. Humanity is dangerous because it keeps its promises. After that, no empire near human space dared call refugees property again. The stars remembered one lesson. When humanity gives shelter, it does not close the door when danger arrives. It stands in the doorway. Some worlds protect borders, but Earth protected the broken, and that kindness became the strongest warning the galaxy had ever heard. May this message strengthen your faith and renew your hope. Thank you for staying until the end. If this touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to Astro Realms for more uplifting content. May God's blessings overflow in your life. See you soon.